Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where things just went completely off the rails? One second, everything's fine, and the next, someone thinks you're upset or confused. Maybe you're blaming them, or my personal favorite, asking them to do something you never asked for. Miscommunication. It's kind of like, well, it's like tying a bow tie in the dark. One wrong move, and suddenly everything is twisted, uneven, or pointing in the wrong direction. And trust me, I've tied enough bow ties to know, especially these two-sided bow ties, if you get them wrong, you end up with two different colors. It's not funny. So, let me tell you, there is some good news. See, just like tying this knot, communication gets easier when you use the right moves. A few simple phrases can save you from awkward moments. It can prevent misunderstandings and make you sound calm, clear, and confident. And if you learn only one thing today, let it be this. Always confirm meaning before reaction. A simple question like, so, just to confirm, you mean this. That can prevent 90% of misunderstandings. I hope that helps. And I want you to stick around because tonight we are going to clean up all the conversational chaos, one little phrase at a time. And while you're here, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop your questions in the chat. And I will answer them right after the Mastery Minute. You don't want to miss this one. All right, let's straighten things out together while I tell you a little bit about Hannah. Hannah is a brilliant professional. Her English is great, but she had a little problem at work. She kept running into misunderstandings. She'd ask someone to review a file, and then they would rewrite the whole thing. She would say something like, "This might be a problem," and then people would panic like the building was on fire. One day in a meeting, she said, "I thought you were handling this." And the room went silent because the team thought she was blaming them. She wasn't blaming them. She wasn't blaming anyone. She was just confused. But it was too late. The damage was done. Afterwards, she told me, "Dennis, how do I avoid these issues? I didn't mean anything bad." And that's when it finally clicked for her. Miscommunication doesn't happen because your English is bad. It happens because your intent isn't clear. Well, tonight, we're going to fix that. Are you ready? So, let me tell you. Before we jump into the phrases, let's talk about why this stuff even matters. Most misunderstandings come from three simple things. Number one, you think you're being clear, but the listener just fills in the blanks. That's a big step for getting miscommunication. Number two, your tone gets misread. This happens especially in emails or chat apps, direct messages, or even just quick text messages. Let me know if you've had this happen to you. I'm sure it has happened to you before. It's happened to me before. It's what made me become a better writer in the first place. I didn't want people to get the wrong idea. And the third one is assumptions. People assume what you meant instead of what you said. So remember, the higher the stress level, the more likely people are to misunderstand. Even native speakers. This truly happens with native speakers, and I think it happens a lot on those text messages. But that's why these phrases matter. They keep conversations clear and calm and honest. So, let's see what to do. We'll start with phrase number one. just to make sure we're on the same page. Now, being on the same page, that's an idiom, and you might want to look up one of my older videos. I've got a couple where I talk about that. So this one actually, being on the same page, this phrase will help save friendships, marriages, relationships, projects, you name it. I once coached two colleagues who were seconds away from a real argument because each one thought the other one had dropped the ball. There's another idiom. Finally, one of them took a breath and said, "Wait, just to make sure we're on the same page, we're talking about the updated file, right?" Aha! Boom! The problem was solved in seconds because they now both understood what they were talking about. One clear finishing line turned a near conflict into a quick laugh. It's really a gentle way to confirm details before anything goes wrong. So when do you want to use this to make sure we're on the same page? Well, you use it when you're confirming tasks with somebody, with a boss or a team member, or double-checking communication or double-checking expectations, or if you're trying to give someone instructions that might be unclear. So here's an example. Just to make sure we're on the same page, are we submitting the final draft today or tomorrow? Right? Imagine you're in a project group chat or face-to-face and your teammate sends you a message, "I'll handle the draft." Well, you assume they mean the final draft. They assume they mean the first version. Well, the deadline is tomorrow. No one clarifies anything. But later that afternoon, you start to worry. So you ask this simple question. You say, just to make sure we're on the same page on this draft, right? And the teammate says, "Oh, I thought you were doing the final version. I only did the outline draft." Well, good thing you both catch the misunderstanding early and avoid a last-minute crisis. That way everyone stays calm. And that's exactly how this works in real life. It prevents small assumptions from turning into big problems. So, zero pressure, zero blaming, maximum clarity, and the work gets done with no misunderstandings. All right? All right. The next one is what I mean is. What I mean is. Now, this phrase is a lifesaver when someone misunderstands you. And trust me, misunderstandings can pop up fast. Last month, I was coaching a team where one guy gave feedback during a meeting. His coworker immediately stiffened up, arms crossed, eyebrows raised, the whole, the defensive posture. Why? Well, she thought he was criticizing her, not the process. He noticed the tension immediately, so he paused and said, "What I mean is, I'd like to improve the process, not that you did anything wrong." And so, her shoulders relaxed, her tone softened, and the conversation got back on track. Instant change. What I mean is, I'd like to improve the process, not that you did anything wrong. It's a very calm, very professional way to reset the tone immediately. You can practice this anytime. Try it out. Say it a few times out loud. Try to change the tone. What I mean is, give it a shot. See what happens. Phrase number 3. Could you clarify what you mean by? Okay, now clarification is not a sign of weakness. It's how smart communicators avoid guessing and therefore avoid misunderstanding. Let me give you an example. A client of mine received a Slack message from his manager. The message said, "Let's adjust the timeline." That was it. No details, no explanation, just those 4 words. Well, he panicked. Was the project delayed? Was it speeding up? Was there something wrong? Well, instead of assuming, And then losing sleep, he just replied, could you clarify what you mean by adjust the timeline? Do you want us to move the deadline forward or push it back? Ah, his manager realized his mistake and just said, oh no, just push it back 2 days so we can add a few visuals and sort it out. See that? That's simple and clear with no stress. Could you clarify what you mean by adjust the timeline? Simple. Okay? So when you use a phrase like this, you're showing that you have confidence and that you want to avoid confusion. Simple, right? It means you're a leader and you're part of the team. So here's what you can do. Use this expression instead of trying to pretend like you understand. That's a great way to make misunderstandings. Pretending like you do understand. All right. Phrase number 4. So if I understand correctly. Now, if you use this is a perfectly magical phrase when you can feel a misunderstanding forming, but you're not sure where it started. Okay? You can find this in meetings and things like that where you can actually see the interaction between people. Last week, a client told me about a meeting where the team lead said, we need to push the schedule. Uh-oh. We need to push the schedule. Well, half the people heard that and said, what do you mean? Does that mean we need to delay the work? And so that's what they thought. And the other half thought it meant to speed things up. And then they spent 10 minutes arguing and debating before someone finally realized they weren't even talking about the same direction. So finally, one teammate stepped in and said this simple sentence or simple phrase. They just said, so if I understand you correctly, you mean extend the schedule, right? See that simple question? You're asking for clarity. The team lead nodded, and then everyone relaxed because they were all finally on the same page, and they moved forward together. Great. You use this type of thing when you're not sure or when you want to make sure that everyone else is sure, okay? So if I understand correctly. So I put the story on the bottom. I messed it up. I messed up the slide. So remember, if I understand this meeting, here's a good example. We're meeting at 2 p.m. instead of 3 p.m., right? Add that right as a question at the end. This is also, like I said, great for meetings, deadlines, instructions, delegations, so you can understand when someone is giving a task. Make sure that you understand that correctly. Give this a shot. Try this at least once during tomorrow's workday. Give it a shot. All right? And phrase number 5, let's talk about tone, because tone causes more misunderstandings than vocabulary ever will. And this phrase lets you remove all of the guesswork. My intention is. I once coached a product team where the manager sent a quick message in the group chat to the team member. He said, we need to talk about your section. And that was it. There was no emoji, there was no explanation, no context. It's kind of like when a girlfriend says to the boyfriend, we need to talk. What? If there's no context, it makes you question everything. The person he messaged, she saw the message and immediately thought she was in trouble. She spent the next hour rewriting everything, her entire report, in a panic. And finally, when she met the manager, she was confused because he only meant, let's review your part so we can combine everything smoothly. He didn't intend for any drama at all. So the next time he needed to send feedback, he simply added one line. My intention is to make sure our sections match. Nothing negative. That's an instant transformation. She nodded, she opened up, and they actually solved the problem together. So when your intention is clear, people don't have to guess. and they actually start listening. So you can try it yourself. My intention is for us to finish this faster, right? I'm not here to criticize. Keeps things clear, calm, transparent. Everybody knows what you want. It lowers tension immediately if it might even just remove tension entirely. You won't even know there was any tension. So try to use this if you're giving feedback or if you're sharing concerns with people. Say what your intention is. I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to help. All right, how do you build clear communication habits? If you want to avoid misunderstandings consistently, here's the secret. Number one, don't assume people know what you mean. Don't assume people understand your tone. All right? Don't assume that you understand other people's intention. Assumptions always mess you up. Ask for clarification instead of guessing, and make your intentions clear early on. Most communication doesn't happen because someone is careless, most miscommunication. It happens because we fill in the blanks with our own assumptions. When you stop assuming, you start checking. The whole conversation becomes clearer. You don't need to be perfect at grammar and vocabulary to be understood. You just need clarity, courage, and the ability to ask questions. Okay? And good habits. Make it a good habit to do that. All right. And as always, I want to remind you, hey, miscommunication doesn't mean you're bad at English. It means you're human. So every time you choose clarity instead of guessing, you're building trust in all your relationships. It makes you sound more professional and like you care about the situation, and you avoid awkward situations that used to stress you out and everybody else too. So one clear sentence at a time, and that is how you get to real mastery. Okay, and here's your challenge for this week. Choose one phrase from today's episode and then use it in the next 24 hours. Not next week, not someday, tomorrow. All right? This is going to help you build real communication skills and grow through real conversations. And if you want to go deeper, my course, Mastering English for Busy Professionals, shows you how to improve your English in just 10 minutes a day. No textbooks, no memorizing grammar rules, just practical communication skills that you can use immediately. Plus, you'll find the full blog post at allaboutenglishmastery.com with more phrases and tips. And let me just say, if tonight helped you even a little, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who could use clearer communication. It really helps the channel grow, and it helps more learners master their English with confidence. And now you know what time it is. It's time for the Mastery Minute, my favorite minute of the show. And today's Mastery Minute is an idiom that I shared at the beginning. But let me ask, have you ever had a conversation that started fine and then suddenly exploded into chaos? That's what it means to go off the rails. That's what it describes. Originally, the phrase comes obviously from early railroads. If a train came off the tracks, even a little bit, the ride was very dangerous, usually unpredictable, messy, and possibly even fatal. The whole trip collapsed instantly. So when we use this and say when something goes off the rails, it means to become confusing or emotional or just completely out of control. I once had a client who said, "This project is going off the rails." And then everybody panicked. They thought the company was collapsing. Well, what she really meant was that they weren't communicating clearly. You know, you can say, our discussion went off the rails when nobody clarified the deadline. That's not a good thing. Use this idiom when things get chaotic or when someone forgets to clarify. And once again, I talked too much. We went off the rails on this one. We went for 19-minute mastery. But thank you. That's an absolute wrap for episode 91. Tonight, We tackled the phrases that prevent miscommunication, build trust, and keep your conversations running smoothly. Next episode, we're diving into 7 confusing English words learners often mix up. Ooh, you let me know if you get that, and how to finally use each one correctly. So, until then, remember, keep your bow tie straight and stay curious. As always, I'm Dennis Wilborn, and I'll see you next time on 15-Minute Mastery. Hopefully, we can keep it under 15 minutes. See you then.